Hey, what is up you heathens? My name is Grief Drums and in today's video we're taking a look at Ghost Recon Wildlands. So for those of you that already know, I was selected for the beta. It was a closed beta that happened roughly a week ago. But I took a little time to process my thoughts and, really figure out what I thought of the game. I reviewed a lot of the gameplay that I had, and now that I've sort of collected all my thoughts and put together sort of a cohesive what the hell went down, I decided I'm going to share it all with you. Now that may sound a bit strange, but there was a lot to take in the beta. The game wasn't really what I was expecting, and yet at the same time it totally was. Again, it makes no sense for me to say that, I get it. Overall, it was a lot of fun. I logged about 20 hours of gameplay over the course of a few days on what essentially was just a handful of missions, if that. The beta consisted of having access to one of the 21 regions that create this huge Bolivian map. And when I say huge, I mean huge. This thing is like 2.5 times the size of the GTA 5 map, at least. In a world that big, I was really worried that there wouldn't be a whole lot of things to do. But because it's like a sandbox style gameplay, this thing really was a cross between sort of GTA, Far Cry, Metal Gear Solid 5, and I guess you can tie in a bit of The Division. Only not as shit as The Division, in which it took 2 whole box mags of an LMG to put someone down. So when you first start up the game, you're presented with sort of a character customization, and although you can't mold facial features, you can select from an array of head types. And once you've chosen what you want, you can choose sort of facial hair, you can choose hair color, hairstyles, things like that. And then you can go into further detail of the uniform and the clothing that your character wears. Now, this level of customization was actually really, really good. There was a high degree of things that you could change, from t-shirts to wearing vests to wearing hoodies, or you can go down the route of proper uniform. You can wear like sort of battle dress uniform shirts or all sorts of weird and wonderful tactical vests. On top of that, you get to choose things like backpack, the assault vest that you're wearing, trousers, boots, you name it, you can do it. There was an option for tattoos on there, scars, so the level was really, really good. After a good 20 minutes or so of buggering about on this, I had a character that I thought looked really cool. He was not completely practical for the jungles of Bolivia, but at the same time it's a game and I thought let's just go with it. But there is the option that I found later in the game to set up different uniforms. So basically, it sounds really daft. It's like a dress-up Barbie sort of bloody thing. But what you can do is you have like 5 different uniforms that you can set up. And you can change these and customize them at any time. But by setting each one up, you can then flick between them. So I believe this is presumably going to be for if you're traveling throughout the map and you come from the jungles in which you're wearing maybe a ghillie suit, through to the desert, in which a ghillie suit would just not work there. So you can quickly change your entire uniform at that point without having to customize and edit each individual item of clothing. This was a really nice feature, and it is only a minor feature, but it's little touches like this that made the game so much more enjoyable. Depending on how you want to tackle each mission, you can do it your own way. It's down to your own creativity. We went from sniping in ghillie suits through to, full-on assaults from helicopters. We did halo jumps, which is high-altitude jumps and low opening. So we would literally try and get as close to the ground as we could, open the parachute, and then we were down on the ground and just lighting people up. This went well sometimes. It went terribly at other times when people landing on the wrong side of the map almost. But it was just great fun. We even went as far as to strap C4 to the front of a Jeep, drive it into the front of the camp, and then jump out just before it hit the main gate, blew that up, killed a couple of civilians, all went horribly wrong, but nonetheless, the customization that was presented to you and allowed you to do that, if you were doing that still in a ghillie suit, it just would have been crap. It wouldn't have helped in that immersion. So little features like that really did adjust just how well made this game was. Now, it was only a beta, and because of that, you were very, very limited to the number of missions you can do. And I hope this doesn't carry across to the main game. As you're traveling throughout the world, there are several resources for you to find, and by finding these, you can tag them. By tagging them, it then allows you to unlock further things. So there is a skill tree and you can unlock different attachments for your drone. You can, use your drone to revive people. You can unlock attachments for your guns or, mines and all sorts of things like that. So the skill tree was quite cool, and the idea of tagging resources in order to unlock those, as well as requiring skill points which you find throughout the map, that was a really nice feature. In order to find these skill points, you have to interrogate someone within a local camp. You will go and find their commander, essentially, and you can do it however you want, but we did a lot of stealthing in there, sniping people from distance, and then sneaking in and trying to, interrogate them for the skill point locations. On top of that, there was a lot of sort of stealing helicopters, stealing planes, intercepting trucks, and pretty much stopping convoys, for example. That was really good fun, and, you can go from sniping. We had one sniper up in the tower picking off the driver. We had myself on a minigun in the back of a van. We had someone with C4 strapped to the car, and we had someone else with, I believe it was a grenade launcher ready to go. So as soon as this convoy hit and we'd barricaded off the road with loads of other cars, it was toast. It was done for, and we had it. And it was just so much fun to get creative like that. I would have loved it if there were more missions in the game, because I very, very quickly ran out. I was surprised at how short it was. And I really hope the main game isn't like that. But on the whole, really good fun. Graphically, the game was pretty pleasing. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. We're not talking, 4K, Ultra HD sort of games. The environment and the scenery looked really nice. The characters looked pretty good. There were some iffy bits, and there were quite a lot of glitches and bugs, but it's Ubisoft. It's kind of to be expected. We had people walking on water. We had helicopters that were blowing up and slowly rotating over and under the ground and then back up again. Weird stuff like that. But again, beta. I'm sure these bugs are going to still be in the game, but we're just at beta. So I can't categorically say that they're not going to look at these things and patch them before it comes out. I didn't really get to play this game single player. I did the whole thing cooperative pretty much. I must have spent about 15 minutes tops on single player and didn't really utilize my team at all, purely because of the fact I was in a party at the time and the server had disconnected. The second it came back up, we carried on back in a squad of 4. At the very least, I had myself and another online, and although you would normally play in a squad of 4 if your team aren't online and you're playing with the AI, you would have 3 AI teammates with you. As soon as you add one person to the game and you start playing cooperatively, you lose everyone else. So, you can go up to 4 people, but as soon as you add one human, the AI disappears. Speaking of AI, the enemies were pretty tame. I don't think they were overly smart. They weren't that clever. I mean, you could get fairly close to them without them spotting you. But when they did spot you, the second they did, the entire camp was alerted, which I thought was a bit odd. I personally like features like Metal Gear or Far Cry, like I suggested, in which they would alert the others through some sort of radio or guard tower or alarm system, rather than just being able to spot you and everyone suddenly knows. I thought that was a little bit daft. But 9 times out of 10, you can drop them before they spot you. You're stealthing in, you've got a silencer on your gun, and as soon as that bar starts climbing, you can just kill them. There is the issue of leaving bodies behind. There's no way to drag bodies away. I thought that was a real shame, because if you're trying to be stealthy and you have to kill someone, you wouldn't just leave the body out in the open to get found by the next patrolling guard. The sheer number of vehicles in the game was incredible. I think there's something like 82 different kind of vehicles you can come up against. There's bikes, cars, trucks, tractors. I mean, oh god, we were pissing around on tractors for so long. There's planes and helicopters. Probably a few too many helicopters, in my opinion. It sort of negates the need to drive anywhere, because you can so easily get your hands on one. And because you can so easily get your hands on it, you don't really look after it. We strapped C4 to it, jumped out, tried blowing it up, and blew up a town that was nowhere near our objective. It just went flying off into the distance. But, because of that, you don't really care about your helicopter. That was a little bit frustrating for me, and it's the same with the main operating bases. There wasn't much to do there. You could gear up and get ammo, but you can change your guns at any point. If you're crawling through the middle of a jungle, I don't think you should be able to just say, alright, I'm going to put this gun away and magically just have a light machine gun. I think you should take 2 weapons, because you carry 2 primary weapons and a secondary. I think the 2 primary weapons that you've got, you should be stuck with until you go back to a main operating base. But instead, at one point, I quite literally ran out of ammo on what was like an M4 sort of assault rifle, and I could go into the customization screen, change that to the light machine gun, which I had unlocked previously, and instead I had this light machine gun that had full ammo because it took a different kind of rounds. That was a bit weird, something I didn't really like. But the guns themselves, there's a huge number, and the guns are fully customizable. You can unlock hair triggers, you can unlock extended magazines and that kind of stuff, and you do this by going out and getting the weapons. There are weapons crates dotted around. Again, with the intel, you find out by interrogating someone, and when you do, you can choose either skill points, weapons crates, or rebels. The rebels are there to assist you, and by unlocking them, you can unlock more features that they can provide, so they can gather intel for you, or alternatively, they can drop mortars on your behalf. All sorts of things like that. They're like your backup. But the weapons, we went out, we found a sniper rifle fairly quick. Unfortunately, there weren't any scopes in this beta. They are dotted around in different levels or different areas of the map, so we couldn't unlock any scopes. We would change the barrels for extended barrels. We could change the customization on the paint. You can change it to whatever color you want within reason. There is just a selection for you to choose from, but you can make them look really cool and really in keeping with the character that you've got. The weather system in this game was really cool. It went from being really sunny to really foggy and overcast very quickly. The only criticism I would have with it is that the day-night cycle was way too fast. The day seemed really, really short, and before you know it, it was nighttime again, and you had to equip your night vision and your thermal. Whilst I enjoy playing at nighttime, I really didn't like how quickly it would change between the two. When it did hit nighttime, there were less guards around, and therefore you developed a slightly different play style, but for the most part, it was a cool feature. Another feature I would like to see added into the game is the ability to run over animals instead of glitching through them. That really bugged the hell out of me because at times you just need to let off some steam and run over some cows. The storyline itself was a little bit bland. I found myself not really giving two shits about it. They were harping on about the cartel and two people from the cartel. I wasn't overly fussed. I wasn't overly interested. I didn't find it gripping. The GTA style element of this game in which you can just go and explore the world. You can get up to whatever you want. If you see orange dots on the map, you think, I'll chuck a drone up, spot the enemies, and go and just mess them up in some creative way. It was a lot of fun for that weekend, but how long it's going to stay fun, I really don't know. And it's something I'm a little bit concerned about, but the amount of fun that I had at the weekend going flying off of bikes, I can definitely see myself enjoying this for quite some time. When it comes down to it, if you enjoyed The Division, you will more than likely enjoy this game. There are a lot of similarities to it. I personally hated The Division and still enjoyed playing this, so I think it's going to appeal to a slightly broader audience. This is what The Division should have been. It's got a degree of MMO style to it because it's got the skill tree and it's got the leveling up and everything, but it's not got the stupid, enemies are harder because you are a higher level sort of element. There may be more of them, but they're not leveled up to the point that they can take stupid amounts of bullets and damage. You can still one-shot headshot someone and they'll drop down to the floor. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you managed to play the beta, I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was crap? Did you, are you worried about what's going to happen on release? This is Ubisoft after all, and we kind of know where previous games have gone. But this does look really good. I've really enjoyed what I did play. So hopefully you did too. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. And if you don't already, make sure to subscribe for Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon. I've got some Walking Dead coming up with my wife. We're both going to be playing that and some more Mondays with Mrs. Drums. But yeah, get involved and let's have a good time.